Okay. Welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform talk show on civic education. And today is October 30th. We're gonna be talking about immigration and immigrants influx in the cities. This is a very pressing issue. We have folks on the ground, different organizations, the Bronx Borough President's Office, the Mayor's Office. Everybody's working hand in hand in New York City and elsewhere, trying to accommodate these immigrants. They've been sent from other states, the neighboring state, border states, and then now we have to deal with their issues in terms of accommodation, feeding, clothing, and so forth. So organizations like Abisa, the Gambian Youth Organization, Adama and the team, they are working tirelessly, trying to make sure that these immigrants are accommodated. So we thank you all for coming. I have David here. David is going to introduce himself quickly, and then Abisa, founder, also is here. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I think it's still good morning, New York City. It's 11:30. I'm very happy to be back again. This is not the first time that I've been here. I think my third time we've been here talking about getting people to get counted by census. And we came back to talk about COVID and other good stuff out here. This is just the continuation of what we are doing on the ground for our community members in not only New York City, but in the United States. So again, my name is David Coulibaly. I was born and raised in Ivory Coast. I'm someone who's very passionate about empowering the broader African community civically, politically, and also economically. I work when COVID started. I was leading COVID outreach campaign in the Bronx as a director. And then, I moved on to, by the grace of God, I was made the first director at the office of the Bronx Borough President. That has never happened in the history of our community. So we see social mobility, we see the presence of our community in political discourse and in political place as well. So I now work for the first female African-American Bronx Borough President. So I'm going to stop here a little bit, and I'm going to pass it over to the moderator. But I'm happy to be here as well to talk about this very, very important issue impacting our community, immigration.
Thank you. All right. So we can allow the founder of Abisa to introduce herself. Yep.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Saidi Sar, and I am the founder of the African Bureau for Immigration and Social Affairs, ABISA. So we are a nonprofit that centers the narratives of African and Black migrant. We have been in existence since 2007, working around the US. Wherever Black migrants need us, we're here. So we help them with several issues, and lately, immigration and representation have been our biggest fight. So we have been at the border in 2016 when we had found our first cohort of African migrants from Senegal and Cameroon seeking asylums. And from that point on, we continue doing the work for them to ensure that they don't stay long in jail. We pay bail, we help them transfer. And now that we are facing a new peak of this crisis right now, it's not even a crisis, it's how do we really make sure that we are welcoming our community members. We stayed in the forefront with our friends, David and other folks, to ensure that Black migrant and African migrant are always getting their fair share and getting their needs met. And if it doesn't happen, then we advocate to make sure that cities and governments and laws and policies take in consideration the needs and the rights of Black migrants. Happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. And then I have my co-host Sam Sise, who is always here for this program. And Sam, you can just say something, and then we can jump into it.
Yeah, I think we can jump into it. Welcome, guys. Welcome, all of you. And notice that Adama Ba is also on. So, Adama, welcome. Welcome aboard. So, good to see you all here. Definitely, we really appreciate your time. Time is money, time is everything. So, even spending 5 minutes with us on this program is a great appreciation from all parts. So, we really appreciate you. So, I think we can jump right into it to respect their time so they can. They are the subject matter experts in these, so we let them lead and talk. And if I have questions, I will question. But otherwise, this is your time.
Thank you, Sam. All right, thank you. So we're gonna jump right into it right now. I'm your host here, Mamadou Swane, the founder of the Gambian Youth Association. Our team also been helpful in this, and then Salim and them on the ground, so they also assistant. So thank you, guys. Yeah, so who's gonna come first? Adam Abbas, Sadie, or Dave?
I could start. I could start. I'll give some numbers, and I'll defer to the CBOs on the ground.
Okay, good. Sounds good.
Yeah. So again, this work wouldn't be possible without the incredible work of Adama leadership, about pulling everybody together, about pushing elected officials to really take our community seriously. She's not someone, I'm not just talking about it, but sometimes when you need to celebrate someone, you have to do it, about the important work they're doing. She's been working for Venezuelan community, for other community, until we discovered that African community are also impacted. And then she's been doing everything. I don't even know how she sleeps, but she's every day. Sometimes she call me. I have to ignore her call because I'm tired. I'm sorry, but she's out there every day. And also Abisa has been doing fantastic work. They have been the actual person ensuring that almost 300 plus African migrant, out of detention, and then make the way to New York City. They've done a fantastic job. My job is just basically, representing. I'm not here as a board president, but as David Coulibaly to represent our community. Some of the quick data I wanted to give is just that as of October, today's the 30th. As of October 30th, there has been at least 21,700 asylum seeker that came into New York City. And out of that, you have about 16,200 that are spread out into New York City shelters and hotel. The city is really struggling to really, accommodate all of these new brothers and sisters. But you have to understand that the city of New York is the right to shelter city, which means the city is legally compelled, obligated to find them, to house them, So that's what the city is doing to the best of their ability. And the number that I just gave, I know Sister Adama would say it's more than that, and then that is true, because you do also have some brothers coming on their own, some other folks coming by flight or by other means to New York City that the city doesn't necessarily account for or don't have the ability to do that. But the number that I'm getting, 21,000+ asylum seeker into the city, these are the people who come through the pass-through port authority that the city was able to identify and process them into 57 different shelter system in New York City. As you might know, a few weeks ago, Mayor Eric Adams actually declared a state of emergency in New York City, which will allow the city to have more money and more support from federal government to address this issue. As an African immigrant myself, I want to talk a little bit about our people. I know we have over 2,000, out of the 21,000, and we have over 2,000 who are African immigrants sleeping in mosques in different places, and that you have organizations that have been on the ground making sure that they are well taken care of. One of the things that I've been doing myself, specific to the Bronx, was to do days of action where we go from shelters to shelters, and then we create like a mini resource fair as we support these migrant with critical resources to keep them, safe, happy, and sorry about that. And I have access to, important resources as well. So those are some of the things that we've been doing here. Yeah, I think these are the main numbers I wanted to give. The projection was that if nothing was done, we would have been at the end of the year, New York City was going to have almost 100,000 or 100,000 to 200,000 or to 3,000 people. But the president, Joe Biden, issued on the executive order that kind of like a little bit changed a lot of stuff. So the borders kind of like closed a little bit. We see buses coming, but not as before. Before it used to be like 7, 9 buses a day. I think now it reduced significantly to 2, 3, or sometimes 4. So that changed a lot of things, but still the need is really, really, really huge. Another thing I wanted to say, New York City has been struggling before. It's like we're adding people to a broken system. The shelter system has been, having issue in the past. So people who are already here before are seen as if they are put on the back burner. They are overlooked and stuff. But we are advocating to say that they also need resources. It's not that we're no longer prioritizing them, but that this is a new group of people who are very vulnerable, who went through traumatic situation to come here. So that's why we are really actively making sure that they have access to resources. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pass it over to the two superwomen doing amazing work out there in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you, David, for that highlight. Yeah. All right. So we can have Adama come in, and then after that we can have Sadie. Adama, you are on mute.
Sorry,
Welcome.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I want to give credit to David and Sadie. I know that they're saying it to me, but it's honestly them. Sadie has been releasing our people out of detention center and helping them get to safety. She's not just paying for their bail. She's just supporting them throughout the whole process. So I think the route goes, they reach Sadie, they come to me, and I pass them on to David. So it's like a trail. This work has not been easy.
Wow, amazing.
Huh?
Amazing. I said amazing.
Yeah, this work has not been easy. Work has been hard. We have been getting a lot of pushbacks from elected officials. Not elected officials, from the mayor's office. You have staff members who are not happy with what we're doing. But it's important for me to be advocate because as someone who's been undocumented, I know the system is not created for us. So how do we change that? We change it by people who are impacted in a bad way, like myself, by coming in and teaching these new immigrants how to survive. So I'm here at Port Authority where I'm at right now. I'm here every day. I was here when the first bus arrived, and I will be here till the last bus arrives. And I've been helping thousands of South Americans. When I heard about the African and Haitians, I said, no, I have to help. I was helping Jamaicans before the buses, but it was the Black migrants really have been suffering. They have been suffering in many ways. I had a lawyer come here the other day, and she said the difference between the Venezuelans and the Africans, at least the Venezuelans know when their appointment is. They know they understand their paperwork. With the African community, they did not understand anything. So the way we can change this is the partnership that we have with like Sadie and David. It's just hounding the support and the resources that we have. I've been using my own personal funds to do a lot of the work that I'm doing. Sadie herself, David has, because he was a city official, he has to be careful, but he's been on the ground and volunteering and providing as much support as he can. And I think right now what we need the most is our community is just to support us. We know what we're doing, rally with us, echo what we're saying, because if we're the only one that's saying there's Africans here, they're gonna say, well, it's just you, Sadie, and David. But then Modu, that there's Africans here. Other people know that they're Africans here. So keep echoing, keep calling people, say, listen, that we know where they are, they're here, this is what they need. So advocate with us and not against us. I'll pass it on to Sadie.
Thank you, Adama, for that. And then that is definitely an important point you mentioned. All of us should be an ambassador, advocating and making sure that these Africans, letting our other Africans know that Africans are here, how best we can support them. It's not only Venezuelans or other nationalities. So thank you so much. And that's something that we've been definitely starting to do. Yeah. Sadie, you can come in.
Assalamu alaikum. Adama.
Yeah.
Adama is the woman of the hour. And yes, she's right. It's like we have to work from where we are. Everybody have a role. For us, when we first met the Black migrant in 2016, we wondered what was going on. And then we start looking at numbers like David said earlier. We know that 6% of all undocumented folks are Black migrants. We also know that 28% of people being incarcerated and deported are also Black migrants. Those numbers don't make sense. You cannot be the lowest number of undocumented and account for almost 30% of the people being arrested and deported. Then we start looking at what happened when they are in jail. Then we start finding out that there is no legal representation, that there are 3.5 times more to be abused and mistreated, that 17,000 calls that happened in the last 6 months came from African migrants being in jail and saying, hey, we are being mistreated. Then we look at the bond. When an average bond for a non-Black might be 7,500, we have seen 15,000, 18,000, 20, 25,000, 30,000, and we even paid a $50,000 bail for a Black migrant to come out of jail. Then we start looking at what is really happening. What I can tell you on our side, between March and now, we have ushered 344 Black migrants through Imam Mosque alone. One of the most that we have in the Bronx, 344. That has nothing to do with the people who are in other mosques, who are in Washington, D.C., who are in Atlanta, who are in Tennessee, in Ohio, and so on and so forth. These are only the numbers that I tracked from New York, right? When we're talking about paying bails and getting people out of detention, right? In the month of May alone, we had 28 people released, right? Over $93,000 in bail paid. So then you go into June, 23 people released, over 100,000 in bail paid. We had 27 people released in July. We had 18 people released in August. We had 21 people released in September, over $90,000 in bail. And in October so far, we are already at 23 people released. So like Adama said, the conversation is all of us. When they get released, they don't get into no bus. ICE is dropping them or at the airport or at the bus station. Then they call. Sometimes they get picked up by churches in those cities, El Paso, Arizona, wherever they're coming off. Louisiana have a church, a center that they can go there for a couple of days. Then they're there only for 3-4 days. They need to get to whatever city they need to get to, whether it is New York, whether where they have a cousin. If they don't have nobody, they're gonna flock into New York. If they don't have no parents, no cousin, no friends, they're gonna come to New York. So they call you and say, I have been at the airport for 4 days. I did not eat for the last 5 days. I'm sitting here and I need to get to New York. Then we get into the gear, try to get them a ticket and have them come to New York. When they come to New York, they flock into the communities. They are in friends' apartments. They are doubled up, tripled up in apartments. David and Adama know. And now it's a whole host of issues. They need to get to their ICE appointment. They were supposed to be in Texas. Now we have to figure out how their change of address need to be done. A change of address is something easy, but then they fall into prey of community members who charge them $500 to fill out a change of address. because you are afraid that if you don't change your address, you might be in some situation, you would pay that money. So with Adama and David, we have been running around trying to figure out what can be done so our members can be taken care of, right? How can we make sure that institutions are respecting their rights? How can we make sure that they're getting the information they need? How can you make sure that they have housing? Adama is like, no, there are, like David said, the city is right to shelter. We need to find a shelter for these people. So she fights in and out. The first time we were able to move people in a shelter, Adama was the only person who was so instrumental for that to happen, that she woke up and she was like, we need to get these people to this shelter now. And we were all on our phones ordering Lyft and ordering Ubers to be able to Uber 48 people. Like, just imagine it. 3 people trying to Uber 48 people from one phone to another to make sure that they get to the shelter so they can be together. So now other services can be offered to them. So like Adama said, I'm going to echo her cry. We need to come for our own self because nobody is going to come to support us. Everything that you can do is never too small. If it is to give your address for somebody to have a sponsorship address to come out of jail, do it. If it is to call a restaurant and because you know that next door to you, there are people who are there who need food, do it. But if we don't stand up for our own, then like Adama said, they're going to be like, oh, where are these people? We know that they are in the city. As we were talking, somebody texted me earlier. He speaks French. S'il vous plaît, madame, je dors dans la rue. I'm sleeping in the street. Where can I go? I just sent him the address where he can go so he can get shelter. Just right now, he got the number and he called. So they are in the city. We are the steward. We are the one to welcome them first. So we need to work all together. Everybody get into this chain and bring your expertise. Bring your expertise. Let us make sure that our people are taken care of so that it's going to allow somebody like David who is inside to be like, hey, listen, this is what the community have been doing. The community have a system. We need you to support the community because the community have been ushering and doing this. We cannot sit on the sideline and be like, oh my God, it's a crisis. Let the state take care of it, knowing that we are in a country where the blacker you are, the more issue we have. We understand that the system was not set to really accommodate our need. And we know language is an issue. Who is going to come speak Wolof, speak Mandinka, speak Fula, speak Bete, speak Twi to our people? We are the only one who can do that. Who is going to translate those documents? Like Adama said, if the document is translated in Spanish, of course, whoever read and speak Spanish is going to be able to find out where they need to go, what they need to do. But if the document is not translated in any other languages, no French, none of the languages that we speak, even if it was an audio or a video message, then when our people get it, because we are resilient and we are creative, they're going to know what to do with it. But if they are being given information in a language that they don't read or speak, they cannot know what to do with it. So what are we doing to ensure that those connections are happening? Because that's our responsibility. If we want to make sure that David can fight harder, we need to be organized so that when David turns around, he knows that there is a system that is working and everybody is working for the betterment and for the welcoming of our community. That's the only way we are going to be able to continue to hold our institution accountable. But when we don't do that, and we tell them, like Adama is at Port Authority every day in and day out for hours on her foot, they see only one person. They don't see no Black people coming out of the buses because we know that from the get-go, there is racism and anti-Blackness. They're not getting the information to get on the buses. There is none of us going to El Paso in a regular basis to help our community members who are stranded there. There is nobody to go to Tijuana for a whole week and wait for African migrants and tell them, okay, this is what the triage look like. If you're going to go to Atlanta, go on this bus. If you're going to New York, hop on this other bus. We have Adama receiving people, but we don't have nobody letting people know from the beginning where to go and how to get there. So the least we can do right now is for those who made it through New York and who are in your city, for us to be there, to be present for there, to walk them through the system. Because once they understand what they need to do and where to go, believe me, They don't need us. They're going to do like everybody else. They're going to get settled. They're going to get working. They're going to start doing what they have to do. They're going to take care of their family. So for this transition time, it's our responsibility to really usher, welcome, help, support, provide all the information that they need. If we don't know it, go to the source. If you don't know how the shelter system works, go to Adama. If you don't know how to get this information from the city, go to David, so on and so forth. If you need to pay bail, go to Sadie. You know, I don't understand how this works. Let me call Sadie and get the right information so that we ensure that there is no leaks, there is no mistake being done, and we are taking care of our people the way we want it to be taken care of. And then we become the example that our cities, our administration have to follow, because we have the cultural competency, we have the cultural sensitivity, we have the knowledge, we are the impacted people, and impacted people know the best solution that fits their need. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sadie. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, so touchy. It looks like this is really, really, really something that our community really need to step in if they are not already. To have only a few of you guys being at the center stage, doing this work, or kind of being supportive is not enough. We need more hands, like Sadie was saying. We need to give information. If we have to give food, if you have to give your address, instead of charging someone so much money, I mean, to give your address, to someone like these immigrants is highly needed, so that they can also settle and fight their cases. As far as like the way the situation unfold in terms of, the treatment of African immigrants compared to Venezuelans and others, those we know in this country, we know how things are. Okay, so if you're, like Sadie said, if you're Black, you kind of face double consequence. So double discrimination and so forth. This is not something hidden. So in order for our people to get the treatment that they needed or to assistance, we have to step in. We cannot just sit aside and say, we don't know them or we don't care. So it's highly important and very important to really assist you guys in the work that you're doing. And I commend all of you, 3 of you, for doing this work. So I can allow my partner to come in and I have questions that I would like to follow.
If I may just jump in to say something very important before we proceed, in terms of what you say on the Venezuelan and other community having the support they need. That is because, like Sadie said, when you're Black, you already know you're going through the host of issues. You are overloaded. There's a lot of dips, but at the same time, the bigger issue is the lack of unity and political power within our community. Everybody wants to do their own stuff, on the side. And I'm very happy today, like Sister Sadie's there. I could call anytime. I could call Adam about. So things are changing a little bit. We build this connection. And then from our office, we, as you might know, we have the African Advisory Council, also at the mayor's office. We are tapping into this entity in order to become very, very strong and structured in a way that we all speak the same language, and that we could guide people through the process. People know who to go to whenever they land to New York City. Sister Sadie talked about the change of venue. It's free. We had, and they do it, but it's a long process. So one of the lawyers came and provided free training to community members. But unfortunately, our folks are using that to make money out of the plight and the difficulty of these people. We cannot do that, We got to be able to support these people without thinking about money all the time. Let's support them, and then see what happens in the future. In the long run, it's good for our community. I wanted to, clarify that. Let's be united. Listen to folks on the ground doing the job, and we can make significant change in our community.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Sam, if you have a word for them, because I have some questions to follow after that, and maybe Dave can come in and then.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I do have questions, but first I want to thank you 3 and really commend you for all the efforts that you put into this. You are really big heroes, if I would say that. You're heroes to the African community, because helping these people get placement, helping them, giving them directions, and helping them with their basic needs, and knowing what to do is very, very important. You know, can you imagine first time stepping your foot in America from Africa when you have no clue where you're going, you have no clue, you can't even understand basic American English sometimes, you know, very difficult. So what you guys are doing is a great task, is really, you're working for the community, you're working for the African people, and working for the migrants in general. So thank you so much for doing that. I do want to ask that if there is, because sometimes bringing awareness to people like this is very important. If there is, or maybe this could be a suggestion, if it's not already in place, because their first port of entry, it's very important to have people there that can give them the proper directions, and directions that could also be translated into different languages in WhatsApp, since a lot of people use WhatsApp now. If we have something stated in English and then translated into different languages, and be able to direct people what to do. Number one, do not pay any money to anybody, because there are certain services that are free that the community is providing to you for free. Do not pay any money to anybody. No matter who comes to you and say pay money, do not pay money. Give them proper directions. If you need to go to Atlanta, this is what you need to do. If you need to go to New York, this is what you need to do. This is the kind of bus you need to get on. And you know, about that information can be given to you from or by the people on the ground from the first port of entry. Once they send that information, including pictures, because some people may not understand certain things, but seeing a picture and or a picture of a bus and put Atlanta and say, this is, if you're going to Atlanta, this is the bus that you need to get on. If you're going to New York, this is it, you know, and different cities as well. So just as a short and simple message that these immigrants can really get from day one, I think will help them, will bring the awareness, and will avoid certain costly mistakes as well, and put them in the right direction as to where they need to go to be able to get the help. That's where you guys come in and also help them. Once they get to you, you'll do your part to help them as you're doing now. So really, that was just a question, is if there's any type of communication out there that these people can get once they get on board. Anything?
Yeah, David, do you have any? Adama?
I wasn't very sure. What is this? What is the question? Like, if there are any resources?
Well, yeah, the question is, once these people get on, get into the first port of entry, is there any communication that they get that tells them what they need to do first?
So that is deep. I'm going to defer to Sister Sadie. Now, I haven't been to the border. I know a lot of folks have been to the border. I was thinking about taking a trip to the border to see the process firsthand, but I'm New York City. When folks like Abisa do the work, you know, and we see them in New York City. So now our responsibility is to advocate and connect them to important resources in New York City. But what happened at the border, I think Adama and Sadie will be more qualified to talk about that.
Sadie should speak first, and then I'll echo what she's saying, because she explains it very well.
Thank you so much. So at the border, when they come in and they cross the border, they are not being welcomed with paperwork. They are taken into detention. So we need to understand that part, because they are seeking asylum, but at the border, the path that they use, when they meet CBP agent, they are being arrested and taken into detention. Then they get triaged. If you have kids, they have a special detention with families with kids. Usually they're not supposed to separate families. Black families are being separated all the time, especially if they don't have no kids. So they will take the woman in woman detention. They will take the man in man detention. When they are in detention, before the new law that came into place in May, before when you come, you would get what they call a CFI, a credible fear interview. So an agent will interview you to see if your fear is credible or not. Based on the interview, you are given a positive or negative fear interview. then you would see the judge. All of that while you are in detention. Then the judge would either set bond or get you released. And that process don't have a nominal time. Some people go through that process in a week, in 3 days. Some people are in detention for 9 to 10 to 11 months. So you never know when are you gonna get released. If they gave you bond, now you have to find the money to pay the bond for your release. They call us. Sometimes they ask you to come to the judge and they ask you to find a lawyer for the lawyer to represent you and help argue your case. They call us. So we try to support them through the detention process. And when they are in detention, every detention have a list of organizations to call. So sometimes they are provided a paper, or the agent who is arresting you, maybe he likes you, or maybe he talked to you and he feel like his heart have, swollen. Then he'll tell you, call this organization, call Casa Marianela, call Rices, call this, call that. So they get information like that, bit in pieces, depending of where they are, and they start making calls. Sometimes they call other organizations to help them with housing. Or you don't have an address. If you only have an address, I will get you released. Then they try to find out, where can I get the address to get released? Then they make calls, they call every day. Once they get released, then here they are. There is, in San Antonio, when people get released from the South Texas detention, they are taken to San Antonio Airport. In San Antonio Airport, there is an organization led by White Catholic Church volunteers that are there every day. They come to San Antonio Airport in the morning at 7 a.m. They wear blue vest. And if they see any migrant walking, they can come to you and ask you your paperwork and try to help you. They do the same thing for the bus station at San Antonio. So people that are being released from South Texas, when they are being dumped into San Antonio bus station or at the airport, they're gonna find their volunteers of this church who shows up day in and day out since 2015. They are there every day religiously, and they help them figure out where do you need to go and give them basic information. And we are also in contact with them because sometimes they meet our people, they don't know who can speak the language. They call us to say, hey, do you speak Swahili? This person say they are from Cameroon or wherever they come from. They're from Cote d'Ivoire. Can you help them explain this? The paper say this, they need a ticket or this and that. So like David say, until there is a lot of us who are traveling to those spaces where the detentions are across the border, or that we have organizations that are filled with Black immigrants who make it their point to go to those border crossing and see the people, they don't get the information prior to anything. So there is nobody in there to welcome them. So they meet the system as soon as they come in, and then they have to navigate the system. But for us, I believe it is important for us to understand that system and how it works, so that if we get called in, we can kind of, tell people, go this route, or this is what you have to expect. This is what is going to be next step. And I'm gonna let Adama complete the conversation.
Thank you, Sadie. Thank you.
I just want to echo everything that Sadie said is correct. But as far as having information of this is Atlanta, this is where, it's mostly based on word of mouth. So when they're at this detention center, someone who's there, been there for a while, like, oh, call Adama, call Sadie, call David, call this person. It's really based on word of mouth and trust. Trust that we will help. So in the detention center, the most people that call me are Fulani or the South American community. When it comes to Senegalese, maybe because we don't understand each other, they don't call me, or the other ethnic groups that are there. I do get calls from Haitians and Jamaicans, but those are the ones that my numbers are shared with. And our communication is very limited based on language barrier, but as soon as I know who or what language they speak, I can add my friends. So really, we're working on just word of mouth, but this is, as Sadie said, it is time for us to be on that list that the police, the Border Patrol gives out. It is time for us to be there, a presence, like, oh, right away, if they don't have to think about it, right away they will say, oh, call Sadie, call this person, call that person.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. Well understood. Definitely well understood. Yeah, definitely. Looks like immigration is never easy. It's not an easy task. So, but you guys are doing a great job doing your own coordination where you are and trying to get information from there to be able to assist these people. So thank you so much for all your efforts.
Thank you, guys. All right, so just to a few questions that I have on my side. First of all, this thing has been going on for years in the borders. We know that folks comes from different neighboring countries like in South America and others. But as a New Yorker, I've been here for almost 30 years. I never really experienced this influx of immigrants to the city and elsewhere. So what is going on? Why this now? Because people need to know the background of this.
Well, short answer, when is today? Today is November 30th. The election is November 8th. Maybe after November 8th, we're not going to hear about this anymore. That's my answer, if you understand what I'm saying. So this is purely, folks are coming. You have to know that people being based to New York City are being sent into New York City by Republican governors, by Republican leadership. They are paying for these migrants to come to Democratic-led city like Chicago, like New York City, to make political leadership feel uncomfortable or to feel the brunt of having a lot of migrants at the southern borders. It's just politics. Also, trying to change, how people vote. But hopefully after November 8th, they're no longer going to be sending people like that to put a lot of pressure on, like New York City. It's a sanctuary city. We always will welcome asylum seeker. It's a right to shelter city, which means legally we are compelled to welcome and house folks whenever they come to the city. And so is some of the democratic cities as well. So that's what's happening.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
I want to add to what David said. So that's the political plot happening right now. What is bad in this political plot is that they are using human beings in this play.
Yeah.
However, now we have this awareness because of this political play. That doesn't mean that folks, the flow of people crossing the border have stopped. It has never stopped. Communities has not been aware of the fact that migrants have been crossing the border. Black migrants have been crossing the border. 2018, it was the biggest issue, the biggest influx of Cameroonian at the border. When they were fleeing the issue in Cameroon, all the kids have ran away and left. Nobody talks about the Cameroonian conversation. They were for days and days and months sitting in Tijuana trying to get in. There was at a time where Berrien Detention Center had 344 Cameroonian women alone. The whole detention center, all the beds, was only by Cameroonian women. So when that happened, once again, because we are Black, the media don't care, so there was no conversation about it. When they rounded 121 Senegalese around the country and deported them to Senegal, nobody said nothing. That was 2012. And it was an operations thing. So for me, being in the ground, I want our community to be understanding that we don't make the news. That doesn't mean the issue don't exist. So we should not just rely on what the news is saying, because the well-being of our community, it is not the primary concern of news media. And it's going to be worse, as David said, because November 8th going to pass, election going to pass, there will be no more interest of a political stand. So nobody's going to talk about the migrant no more. Does it mean that they are not in jail? Yes, they're going to rot in jail. It's going to be harder for us to pay their bail. It's going to be harder for Adama to find them shelter, because now immigration is not going to be at the top of the ticket. But we should not get fooled, because even if immigration is not at the top of the ticket, our members are still crossing the southern border. They are still coming into here looking for asylum and seeking protection. And there is going to be less and less resources. What David can will today by pushing, because there is this big political stunt on New York and all this city, in a couple of weeks, he knows when he's going to start calling people and sending email and saying, hey, we need support, they're not going to respond to him. Because whatever is going to be the new items on the plate, yeah, for politics is going to be one. So David's going to have a harder time to push. So we should be aware of that and prepare for that, and not wait till the next presidential election to come and become now an item to be talked about.
Wow. So so maybe this is the last time we'll be talking about this. Oh my goodness, because there might not be any influx again. So
no.
It's important that people understand this.
There will be influx, but you won't see it. There will be influx.
But we want to see it.
Is that you're not going to see it in your news. So if you, Mr. Savane, don't go look for your people and waiting for the news to tell you, they're going to be dying on the bottom of your building in New York.
That is so correct.
I got it. I think I got it. I got it now. Yeah.
Okay, the sister is saying we need to continue to mobilize and stay connected. As my boss say, you have to be ready so that you don't have to get ready. Stay ready all the time so that you don't have to get ready.
Because when you get ready, it takes time.
Yeah. So stay ready. We have to stay ready for our community. This issue will be put on the back burner. We're actually speaking slowly, less and less about it now. And then after election, it comes to organizer like Adama Buying City to continue to push. They cannot do it alone. You know, we need this kind of platform to continue to speak about burning issue in our community as a way to raise awareness, as a way for Abisa to continue to have money to fight and get our brothers and sisters out of detention, you know. And it is getting bad. Now, she mentioned something about death. After today, as we're speaking, there has been about 853 deaths in the southern border. And
853 what?
853 deaths at the southern border.
People died.
Yes, most of them by drownings. She's even, Abisa is actually doing a fundraiser to raise money to send a brother's body back to Senegal. And even to get that body was a fight again. I know that's not a topic, but these are some of the very difficult issues that's happening as well.
But wait a minute, they're dying because of what? Hunger, starving, or what?
Drowning, like swimming. A lot of people, most of them is through drowning, you know, trying to like cross
the river, they drowned. Yeah.
That is the major cause, but there are other causes as well, you know, hunger and other stuff, but this is the major cause. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is saying after we don't know about this thing, we'll divert our attention to other stuff. That's when people will even come to New York City and die and be on the street. Like sister says, somebody just call her speaking French. I don't know where to go. I've seen a sister. I think she's like maybe 30, but she has totally gray hair and she look older. She got triplets. She live in a shelter. She has access to, you know, just a shelter. She's there. She got meals and stuff, but she's going through a lot. Even yesterday, she was testing me about how painful it is for her to take care of her 3 babies. And the legal ramification, it's difficult for people like that. And I say, I'm thinking we've done this for one of our brothers who has a wife, and they just had a baby like a month or 2 ago. We were able to kind of like mobilize the community to kind of support. I'm saying all these things after there's no more media attention, we have to continue to do this job. I might not do it because on like David from the board president, but as a community leader, I will continue to push this and raise awareness about this issue. If we don't do that, we're doomed, and a lot of people will die.
So another thing, we always have to go to the root cause of everything. I understand the fact that, okay, these people came to the country already. We should do everything. Since they're here in New York City and elsewhere, we should do everything. We should search for them. We should provide for them as much as possible. But what is it that we are doing to try to sensitize people the danger of crossing this border, leaving their country, swimming and dying, talking about 800 people? I mean, that reminds me of the same routine that goes, when people are going through back way in Europe. So if this thing is really another one that is really taking lives and putting people's life in jeopardy, what can we do? Again, looking at this to make sure that our people's life are safe. I mean, leaving their country and sensitizing them, because this is not a something pleasant, news to hear.
Brother, I'll say this: nobody leaves their country, the comfort, the culture, the food, and then just take a long trip to put himself and the family in danger, unless they have a valid reason, like a credible fear. You see, people from Afghanistan, they took them from Florida, because it was war. Same thing in Ukraine, So you see someone like taking this trip, that means there's something really, really bad, either coming from a failed state, poor political leadership, lack of resources given to them. So this is the only option. I'm not going to tell someone, don't come, don't do this, don't do that. What I could do if they're here or they're struggling to find resources, I will be out there and support them. But we have going through the root cause of this one. This looks bad on, on decision maker from these different countries, or there's a war there and people have no choice. There was a war in my country in 2010. It was really bad. I have to leave. If that the only option that I had was to find a way to come to the southern border and get into the United States, I would have done it. But I was lucky I didn't do that. I had support to put on a flight nicely to come to the United States. How many people could do that? That is different. So that's why I always made a distinction between a migrant and an asylum seeker. A migrant is someone who can comfortably get on a plane with the means and stuff and then travel. An asylum seeker, on the other hand, has no choice, whatever it means, to just get out. So whenever I speak, I tend to be very careful about using the word migrant and asylum seeker. I don't know how to say that, but they're not synonyms. That's what I wanted to say. That's
okay. Yeah. Another thing, just to follow up on that, in other countries like Europe, I have friends there who travel back way, and then they are being with immigration. But usually the kind of operations that those countries, the government or whoever is in charge, they do is different, because I speak to these people, they are in a camp, but the way these people have been dumped here, or they are not being taken care of, is totally different from those countries. What is the problem? What is this issue with our system? Is it that we don't have funding for immigrants? Is it that we don't have budgeting, or what is going on here that is compared to Europe? Because I know Italy and other places, they have been housed, they have been taken care of. Some of them have even been sent to school. Because I have friends who went through this journey. So what is the issue here? Or they don't just want to have budget for them, or they don't just want to care for them, or they just want to drive them away, or something. What is happening? Because this whole come to the umbrella of humanity, having like feeling for humanity, making sure that is in the agenda of a nation.
So I think we understand very well in immigration and politics in the US. So we know that immigration is a federal conversation. So the cities, most of the time, have to deal with the result of what is happening. But at the federal level, there is not real funding being put into immigration. We know that the US puts the majority of his funding in military stuff. If they're not going to fund education and they are not going to fund healthcare, they surely are not going to fund immigration at the federal level. So cities that depend on federal dollars to run programming that are humanistic don't have no choices. The governor of California don't rely on immigration, on federal funding for anything. They have their own funding. So when you look at the state of California, they treat their immigrant, they have more money, they put their money where they want because they have that independence, that financial independence from the government. But cities and countries and states that still rely on federal funding to be able to run these federal programs, immigration is a federal issue. They don't have the funding. The United States is not putting money over there. So we, once again, as CBOs, civil societies, NGOs, organizations on the ground, are the ones who are running around and going to private funders and say, give us the money to do this work because we know that at the federal level, there is no funding for it. And this is why what David said was very important. How do we organize? What do you do for your community? What change are you for your own community? We know that in the private sector, philanthropy and funding, they fund at less than 5% immigration support. When you go into now philanthropy, less than 5% of the money being hurled around for any social justice, any equity issues, less than 5% of it go into immigration. So whoever is doing work around immigration is fighting for less than 5% of the philanthropy funding. We cannot say, well, it's a government problem. They have open borders policy, then they need to fund us to do this work. We can't say that. We have to be working tirelessly at identifying source of funding, talking to other people who are going to tell you, listen, at our mayor's office, they don't have a lot of money, but you know what? They have this little grant that might be only 10,000 or might be only 15,000 that you might be qualified for. Then you apply for that little 15,000, you get it, and you try to stash your dollar. But if you have so many connections, if there is 17 David Coulibaly in New York, we would have 17 possibilities to reach out to somebody who look like us, who gonna tell us, okay, this is happening, this program happened, this they have access to, this they are eligible to. But if you have only one African in a whole, structure, then you're making it hard. So where are all the other David Coulibalys in the system? Where are all the Africans who have a degree, who learn, who can read and write, who can do administration? Why aren't they going into public sectors and public services? We really have to take on this, not only from the lens of the crisis that we see right now, but from the idea, like David say, get ready, go folks. Where do we need to be so that when information is being passed around, people that look like us are in those spaces and they can get the information firsthand and pass it to the community? Who is working at New York City? Who is working in city council? Who is working in the borough? Who is working in this world? Who is? Where is the Africans who came here, and was able to have a visa? Or are we all in private sectors making our private money, sending money home and building our home, and we're done? To whom is much given, much is asked for. That's our responsibility as leaders of the communities. Everybody, woman, man, teacher, banker, whatever your field is, nurse, to be able to think of the less lucky of us, the most vulnerable among us, and say, I am in this position. I get this information all the time. Let me make sure I'm going to tell David when they go to our hospital, this service exists and they should have access to it. That's our responsibility. This is not a top-down conversation. This is a grassroots, a grass-up conversation. And we need to take responsibilities wherever we are to look at the services that are available in wherever field we are and think, how can this be helpful to my community? Who am I going to give this information to so they get it to the people who need it? And if we start doing that, then we have the power, as David and Adama said, to push against the establishment and hold them accountable. But if we don't hold ourselves accountable, it's not going to happen. If we don't know how budget is being voted because we are not in the room, we don't know how budget is being negotiated because we are not in the room, we can't complain about not having access to budget. Go to a city council meeting. Sit there for 3 hours and hear them talk about stuff that you don't care about until they start talking about this one thing that you came here to hear about. Go to a school board meeting and argue about having halal food in your school for your children. Once we start doing that and it's become our way of operating, things are going to change for our community, a la Coulibaly, because we have seen it happen. What Adama have been able to do is because she is in and out. She's in meetings. She's arguing with people. She's forcing doors. So now she is aware of things and she'll be like, oh no, this can't happen this way. Oh yes, this possibility happened. Let's do this. Just because she never stopped going and finding the source of information and making herself be in spaces that she is not welcome. And she is doing it with great grace, but she's also facing great pain to do it because she's the only one. And she wears a hijab.
Double huddles.
So we need to just, this is my last thing that I have to say. I'm just pleading for all of us. I know I have a lot of passion when I talk, don't mean no harm, but I really need for us to get this and just, hop on this train and work tirelessly and endlessly. This is what is happening in this country. We know it. We have known it. People who have been here 40 years before us know it. I'm among the lastest one coming here, less than 20 years, but we know this is how it works. So we need to really engage the process, painfully, but engage the process and don't let it go. That when crisis like this happen, we can support our community.
Wow, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, this is really, really important. Yeah, I think this advice and this route we need to take. Yeah, Sam, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, I just want to thank these three people. I mean, they are doing an outstanding and amazing job, helping these people. So really, kudos to the three of you for being in that position and helping people. I think we need to get to the community level as well, where, I believe in every city you go to, there are African communities in there. I started in Columbus, Ohio, and a co-founder of the Gambian Association there. And then I moved to Indiana, and now I am the president of the Gambian Association in Indianapolis, or Indiana, in other words. So we all have these little communities. I think we need to bring the public awareness to these people, to our communities, and see what we can do and get people from the community to volunteer to help. Help you guys. But not only that, but be thinking about how do we raise funds? How do we raise funds to support you guys, to really support you guys? So in New York there, I think Mr. Swane, I think you've been a great advocate for this as well, getting in the Gambian Association and talking about this, put it on the agenda to see, can we raise funds, or can we set aside some funds to help these people support our African brothers and sisters? I think it's very important. We all need to take it that level. Especially, I was very saddened to hear that 853 people, what David said, died in this journey. That's a lot of people. That's a lot. That's I just can't imagine people going through this and drowning in the river. Parents and their children, and husbands and wives, and it's really very sad. So from a community level, we need to do something. We really need to do something. But going back to what I first said initially, getting some audios prepared in different languages and circulating to these people when they come out, when they can get that information, is very important. So they know who to talk to, where to go, and where not to pay any money, and things like that. Give them some good directions so they have a good foundation on their journey to get asylum, on their journey to get settled in the United States. I think these are all important stuff. So again, great job, the three of you. I can't say more, but other than thank you all.
Yeah,
very much for all your efforts.
Thank you, Sam. So we're gonna wrap it up. Final words. The only thing is, I would just say, when you are doing your final words, I just want to know, how is the city feeling in terms of this influx of immigrants? Are they getting bothered with it? Are they reacting? And also, how is the city supporting this in terms of the mayor's office and elsewhere? Is that something that they just don't they just doing it just for the election to pass and wouldn't really fight for anything? So, and how are the populace also feeling? The people here, are they accepting this immigrant? Is it a burden to them? Are they complaining? Or are they nice to them? So something like that. Yeah, that's just something that if you are doing your final presentation, you can just say that. If you have knowledge of it. Yeah, David, you can start. Then we can wrap it up.
Once again, thank you so much. This is much needed. I really urge all our community, should you have any platform where we could actually have this kind of meeting to speak about this urgent issue, and how we could continue to organize in emergencies. It's not easy. I do encourage folks to create this platform for this kind of conversation. Abisa has done a fantastic job for the past 2 days. I've seen videos in multiple languages talking about important issue. We do have that. African Community Together does the same thing as well. So we do have organization doing the work. We just need to continue to amplify what they do. Sister Sadie said something about what I added David Coulibaly. There are a lot of people. That is so true. So we need to continue to tap into those folks. That's why we created a WhatsApp group with all the different folks that we know who might be impactful. This is a labor of love. It's a labor of love, which means we're not getting money. Even if we get money, it's going to be a little money. If we want to go to the private sector, you're going to get a lot of money. Adama is on the feet every day. She's not getting no funding. So this is purely a labor of love. So if you're not ready to do this kind of work, it's going to be tough. So, a lot of people might not be there to do this kind of work. So that's what I wanted to say. And we wouldn't do this job as of now. We have mayor's office folks with us, Mohamed Bahi, helping us a lot. So we wouldn't be able to do this job without the support of elected officials in our city. So they're doing what they can. They could do better, but they are doing their best. And we have, other leaders who are actually, pushing them to hold them to account as well. That's all I wanted to say. Let's continue to advocate for our folks. Actually stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. Thank you so much.
Stay ready. I'll keep that. Stay ready before you
stay ready. Always stay ready. So you don't have to get ready. Getting ready takes time.
Okay, so that I will put that in my vocabulary.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
I'm going to jump in here. Thank you, David. Like he said, thank you for using your platform and allowing us to have this important conversation. So fundraising wise, one of my last tip that I have is that I'm expecting you guys to create a susu after this conversation today. That susu is going to be to support Adama in New York. So get into your community. We do susus all the time. So we know how to fundraise. A susu for a migrant would be something fabulous, would be something never heard of, but would be something so impactful. If people do a susu for migrant in New York, Adama is going to have a lot of the means that she needs to make sure that she can continue doing this day in and day out. And staying ready is the course, right? Let's be connected. Let's ensure that we are not the one exploiting our community members through this process. In Senegal, they say, nit mbokam in Wolof. Your kin is your wealth. Let's treat our kinship better, nurture it, and understand that all the wealth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have for us is going to come from the work that we are doing. It's not easy. We are committed to do that. We are open and ready. So let's continue connecting and growing our connection. Each of us doing the best you know how to do, right? And adding it into the pot for our community members. But please, New York City, get this Susu for Migrant going so that Adama can have access to the resources she needs. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you coming. Thank you. Thank you. Adama, your final words.
I just want to echo what everyone is saying, but it's, one of the things that, Sadie and David said perfectly. We're supporting each other, and we just need people to support us and to back us, especially, I keep repeating the same thing because it's very important for us to echo the same thing. We can say it in different ways, but let's say it the same wording. We have a lot of Africans here that need support. Let's not create more programs. Let's create the resources that are already available. But if we need to create it, speak with us. Join us. We welcome the advice. We welcome the whatever you have for us. But let's not stop us from, as I say, there's too many hands in the pots. Let's not just all put our hands in the pots all at once. Let's take turns. Let's tackle this together. Unity. I just want to push unity. Sorry, we're at the road right now. Sorry, with the hotels, and we're helping the migrants.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking your time. We're going to wrap up here. Again, this is a wonderful information that we discussed here. And we have touched almost every part of it. Thanks to David for coordinating this with Adama and Sadie. And thank you so much, my partner here, Sam, for coming in and also supporting and asking important questions. This is a task that we don't have to leave after the election. We gotta continue about this immigrant issue and sensitize our community. Find ways and then fundraise for them, and also tap into other fundings in the city or somewhere else. I know already GYO had a funding that we are working with Adama on, almost 20,000. So that is something that we are putting in towards this immigrant issue. So we're gonna also, like you said, any form of fundraising to assist the issue here, at least to be able to mitigate it for our people and our community. So I think this is a great show. Thank you for having this conversation, David.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Short notice. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. We
all
appreciate
right, thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Adama.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sadie. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you all.
All right. Yeah.